Okay, I'm wanting to put a TV where this pocket is. Never like these pockets, they go all baggy like the ones on the back of your car seat. So I'm going to basically mount a piece, take this off here. Whoop. I'm going to mount a piece of wood here, step it into here, around up to there, down to the bottom of there. I'm going to wrap it in vinyl wrap, which is designed for kitchen cabinet doors and stuff like that. I've got a pretty good match. And then I'm going to screw the TV on. I'm going to fix this piece of wood somehow to this wood here, maybe a couple of little brackets holding it in, and also on the bottom here I'm going to fix it to this piece of wood here, so it's not going to come off the wall. And then the TV is also going to be screwed to the back of the wall. I'm going to feed the wires down here. I'm going to connect it to my 240 volts, which is here, which is where the supply comes in to power the battery charger. I've also got an inverter in here, so this TV that I'm putting on is a 240 volt TV. A little bit more power hungry, but it's much bigger, much better screen, etc. And I'm going to have a switch here because this is my my switch for the inverter on and off. And I'm going to switch here between switching the TV from the inverter and the battery or normal 240 volt hookup. But to be honest, most of the time I'm going to be on 240 hookup, but a simple switch in there. Yeah, hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. I will keep doing this video. Okay, taking this back panel off. It's just got these really tough velcro pads, so you just give it a quick little pull and it all pulls off. I've decided to make my piece of wood go from the edge there and then back in 5 centimeters. So it's 70 centimeters from that edge of the wood, far where my thumbnail is, and 5 centimeters in. That's 70 centimeters, which takes me a couple of centimeters in from the edge, just so it's not touching, so you can't see the dissimilar color too obvious. And then that'll leave me with 4 centimeters either side of the TV, so it looks kind of balanced. So I'm going to cut my piece of wood now. Okay, cut the piece of wood and the ended it to 1125 long and then 700mm wide. Now just I'm going to notch out here, so I just made a mark where the top of that is, and this is 12mm thick, so I'll just cut a strip 12mm thick out of here and it'll be able to push over, and then I'll progress to the next stage. So in the back of the panel I measured the center line for this, drilled the 4 holes for the TV screws. I cut a little section out of here, which is where the USB ports go in. So I've got one which is powering this Fire Stick, which is behind here. I've got another one that's going to lead to a couple of leads, and that's going to go to here, which will be mounted down here. And then I've got access to USB in case I've got some films on a stick. I can still use it on the TV, or if I need to plug another input in the TV or something using HDMI, I can do that as well. That's completely unnecessary, but it's what I do. So yeah, so all I'm going to do now, I'm just going to put it in place, see if it all looks right and symmetrical, etc. And then I'm going to router down here. This is 12mm ply. I'm going to probably do an 8mm router all the way down for the power lead, and these 2 leads here, which is the extension leads for my remote HDMI and USB port. So router down there, and then that'll cut a little hole in here, poke it through, and then I'm going to drill a little hole through here and poke it through and wire it all up. Anyway, I'll get back to you shortly. So there it is mounted. It's a shame This is all symmetrical here, but Mobilvetta mounted this slightly off that way, which will probably end up bugging me, but hey. So this position, it's fine. Very top, very corner might be cut off from the driver's seat. Yeah, fine, no problem. And then from the other two seats, not a problem at all. And it's a good monitor. It's got 180 degree peripheral vision, right? So hopefully we should see it by all angles. So anyway, I'm going to remove it now, do a bit of wiring. I've got the wood a little bit slightly damp because it's been snowing outside. So I'll dry the wood out and then I'll put the vinyl wrap on. So I've just marked 3 lines there where the cables are going to exit. I'm going to do 3 separate routed lines and then kind of lay the cable and maybe just put a bit of duct tape over the top just to keep them in while it's going up against the back wall. So I know the power cable has got to be about 8mm, but I think the other 2, the depth won't be quite as much. I'm sure it's still going to have as much of its rigidity still in place. So I'll go back to you. Okay, I've routed out the grooves here. I've got a power lead, I've got a HDMI, and I've got a USB lead. It's all flat and flush there. I've got a hole so the cables don't poke out there, that hole there, so it's all smooth, and I've recessed the 4 screws there. And now I'm going to take it apart and vinyl wrap it. Okay, I'm just going to do some prep for this vinyl. I thought I could just stick it on, but the ply was quite porous and it doesn't seem very sticky, the vinyl wrap. When I've looked at the blurb on YouTube, it says that MDF, which is similar to this, it needs to be primed first. So I've got some SBR bond. I'm going to use that, which is like a glue, like a PVA type thing. So this is the back side. I'm just going to coat a little section around the perimeter and perimeter around here, flip it over and do the whole of the other side and the edges. 1 coat should be enough just to stop the give it like a flat surface for the glue to bond to, and then leave that to dry overnight, and I'll do the vinyl tomorrow. That's the back all done. That's the other side all done. Doesn't need a lot, doesn't take long, any thin layer will do. Okay, I've given it 2 coats of SBR and let it to set. 1 probably would have been enough, but I've got 2 on just to be sure. It's all pretty smooth, but I'm just going to give it a quick little look over with a bit of sandpaper, and then I'm going to put this vinyl wrap on. This is, I cocked up really. You can get it in 900mm wide, which would be perfect because that's 700, but it's 600, so it's shy. So I'm going to do it in 2 strips here, 1 there and 1 there. The join will be covered by the back of the seat, so it won't be any problems. So this is the top half, so I'm just going to lap it over around here, and then the seat comes to about, might even be that black line, no, that's the TV, that faint line there. So it's going to be well covered. Okay, I've started sticking it down. It's going down all right. Just kind of got the first section. I've got about 4 inches, folded it over the other side, creased it. This is the backing, and then stuck this front bit on. And now you can kind of just peel back 4 inches at a time, and then just use the little scraper here just to stick it down. Make sure there's no air bubbles. 1 half done. Doesn't take too long, just have to be careful. So it's almost done. If you remember, there's a little indent here where it goes over the left hand piece of wood that's in the van. So apparently I just heat it up hairdryer, pull it nice and taut, and squidge it into the gap. See how we get on. So I'm finding here it's much easier if you kind of put a slice up to there and then heat it up and get it to sit in, rather than try and do it in one piece. There you go, it's all wrapped. Job done. Saved buying a big piece of lightweight ply for 150 quid. So I think I got 3 meters of this stuff, which is DC stick or something like that. £17.99 and a bit of plywood, and it's done. Here where I've connected up, you can't even see it. I overlapped it about 5mm, but you literally, even to the human eye, you can't see it. So I'm gonna stick it in the van now, see what it looks like against the rest of the wood. Okay, that's the wooden panel just roughly put in place. I'll mount the TV tomorrow, just because you're meant to leave it 24 hours for the adhesive to go off. Well, I'm going to take it inside because it's freezing out here, about 2 degrees. But colour difference, there's a slight change difference, but you don't notice. I'm going to use a couple of these little chop blocks to fit it to the top part. I'm going to wrap them in a bit of this film just because I can, so I won't see it. And then I can attach 2 screws to the piece of wood and then just stick one through up into the unit above, and then it won't come off the wall, and I'll put some similar fixings down below where the cushion is, but I'll go and wrap them now. Okay, they're both covered, probably completely unnecessary because I don't think you'd see them anyway, but they're covered. I'll let them go off and I'll stick the whole thing on tomorrow. Okay, TV's installed, it's all nice and flat. Put the cables in the routed holes, put some tape on, and yeah, they're all done. Okay, I thought I'd give you an update where I'm up to. I'm just fitting all the electrics now. So I've undone this panel here, so you've got the 3 obvious ones there, and then there's some hidden fixings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once that's done, that can be removed out the way, and I've fitted a double socket here. Probably only need a single socket, but I've only got doubles available. And over here, this is already in. This is the panel for the inverter there, and that's the socket that runs off the inverter. So I'm going to come off here, pull it through this hole which I've done, and that's going to go into the socket, and then when the TV comes down, that plug is going to plug into here. And on this side I put another hole for another USB running off the 12 volts, which I'm going to wire in while I'm here, because the 12 volts is just underneath. I've got the switch which I'm going to put in. Now that's going to have the power for the television. So up will be power coming from 240 mains, which I'm going to take off here. That's 240 mains, and on the bottom, the 2 dots, that's going to come off the inverter, and then in the middle it's off, because 90% of the time I'm on a caravan site which has got power, so I'll just use it off the power, but I do have the option to use it off the inverter if I need to. So I've got this lovely job of trying to wire all this in with limited access, so I'm going to crack on with that, and I'll give you a shout in a bit. Okay, I've just taken this wooden panel off to expose the 12 volts. Now it looks far too complicated for what it needs to be, but there must be a reason behind it. Anyway, I'm just going to pull 12 volts from, we've got a stud here, which is the negative, the black one, and just below that is one for the positive. Just check there, we've got 14 volts across it, which must be the voltage coming in from the battery. So I'm just going to put a couple of connections onto there, put an inline fuse, and then I will take power to this cigarette lighter, and while I'm at it, I'll put another one down here as well, because I also want access for power for electric inflator for our paddle boards. So I'll stick that in while I'm at it. Okay, I've got my external HDMI and USB port there. I've got a couple of USB charging ports, and I've got this switching from 240 volts to mine's gone blank, the inverter of the battery. I had to take the battery out to wire everything up because I needed to get access to the back of here. So here I've got a 240 volt socket which is coming off the mains. I've got a I'll show you the other side. So a 240 volt socket, and I've got another set of USB chargers, and here I've got a cigarette lighter, which is power for a pump for the paddle boards. And then we've got the socket here. This is powered. This is going to give power to the TV, so the TV is going to plug in here. And that's it. So now I need to put the piece of wood back in, mark a little cutout for the cables to come out, put an extra couple of supports either side of where that cutout is just to give it a bit more strength, and then I'm going to screw it all on. I think I'm going to take the original Velcro pads off, and I'm going to attach them back onto the piece of wood that I've got so the seat can attach to it. I've got a couple of these pointing at the like Velcro pads, so I'm going to put a couple of them somewhere in the middle, just to make sure that the panel doesn't pop out. But I'm going to end up screwing the panel into here and also onto the piece of wood here as well. There's no chance for it to come off at all, and it's not that heavy, to be honest, anyway. Okay. Oh, and also this is where my 12 volts, I've done the positive to this side of the battery switch, and this side, that's the negative. I'll just put an inline fuse here. So I've got them, that one and that one down here tied back to the same power point. I put a 20 amp fuse in. The paddleboard pump I use is 110 watts, so that's roughly about 10 amps, but I put a 20 amp in just to cover the bases with extra USB chargers, etc. Okay, I've put a couple of these little blocks here just to support the frame when it goes on, because there's a little cutout. I've used a hairdryer to remove these round Velcro pads here, and I'm going to set the frame back on. I'm going to put a bit of tape, sit the TV where it needs to go. I'll put a little bit of tape, and then I'll reference from the tape to these Velcro pads. I'll put them in place. And also where I've got these existing holes here and here, I'll mark them as well on the board, and then I'll put these sticky pads onto the new board, and I'll screw straight through the piece of wood into this back wall as well, and then it's definitely not going anywhere. Okay, I've got another couple of these Velcro pads on here, so I've got 6 now. I'm ready to lift the TV in. Okay, I have fixed this in. I heated up these little pads first, stuck them on, drilled through into the wall, and then heated it up again just so it sticks properly. Same with that. I've put a couple of little screws through there, one through there, one through there, and in the top corners, see those little chocks that I covered in the tape, just in either corner. I don't know why I bothered with so much detail, but because they didn't even bother covering that there. Anyway, yeah, that's in. I'm just going to put cushions back. Okay, TV's all up and running. Really pleased with it. Looks like it should have been done at the factory. Really good clear view. Remote controls nice and dinky. So we've got the normal Netflix, Amazon Prime, BBC iPlayer, Disney Plus, YouTube, the normal stuff. That's just off the TV that's already built in. And then I've also got a Amazon Prime stick as well in the back, for any extra stuff that I need that I can't get off there. But really pleased. You can still get live TV on there as well. Just need to connect it up to your phone. I am with 3. I think it's about £20 a month to get all my calls, all my texts, and as much data as I want to use, all free. And it's also free when I go abroad to France as well. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Also forgot to tell you here, there's my 240 volt socket. I've got my charging ports there, USB, cigarette lighter thing there. I think I did show you actually before.